സോ അതിലെ ഫസ്റ്റ് യൂണിറ്റിലുള്ളത് പ്രോസ് ആണ്. ഒരു പ്രോസ് നമുക്ക് പഠിക്കാനുള്ളൂ. ദാറ്റ് ഈസ് ദെയർ ആൻ ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ്, an informal essay by A.K. Ramanujan. So, is there an Indian way of thinking? What do you think? An Indian Western way of thinking differences or no? Is there actually an Indian way of thinking, according to you? I'm asking you questions. You can answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So, is there an Indian way of thinking?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So, there is an Indian way of thinking, and A.K. Ramanujan, അദ്ദേഹത്തിൻ്റെ essay, is there an Indian way of thinking, പബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്തത് 1990-ലാണ്. And this essay is written in 6 parts. And first പാർട്ടിൽ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഈ ടൈറ്റിലിൻ്റെ ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് വേസ് ആണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് രീതിയിലും ഈ ടൈറ്റിലിനെ ഇൻ്റർപ്രിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. സോ ദ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഹി ഈസ് സ്ട്രെസ്സിങ് ഓൺ ഈസ്, ലൈക്ക് ഈസ് ദെയർ ആൻ ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ്, ആൻഡ് ദ സ്ട്രെസ് ഇസ് ഗിവൺ ടു ഈസ്. അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ വരുമ്പോൾ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അങ്ങനൊന്നും ഉണ്ടോ ഇല്ലയോ, ഡസ് ഇറ്റ് എക്സിസ്റ്റ് ഓർ നോട്ട്, എസ് ഓർ നോ ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ പോലാണ് അവിടെ പോയേക്കുന്നത്. ഈസ് ദെയർ ആൻ ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ് ഇൻ ചോദിച്ചിട്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ we want an answer yes or no. And he clearly mentions that yes, there is an Indian way of thinking, but it does not exist anymore. That's what he said. And according to him, it can be located in upper caste, Brahmins, or religious text. And so Indians still think the Vedas, or there are other ways of thinking exist. അപ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ് ഉണ്ടോ ഇല്ലയോ എന്നുള്ള ക്വസ്റ്റ്യന് A.K. രാമാനുജൻ റിപ്ലൈ ചെയ്തേക്കുന്നത് അങ്ങനൊരു തിങ്കിങ് ഇല്ല ഇപ്പോൾ. ഇറ്റ്സ് നോട്ട് എക്സിസ്റ്റിംഗ് എനിമോർ, ബട്ട് it could have been located in the Brahmins or religious text. Then second question, second way of interpretation is isന്റെ സ്ട്രെസ്സിങ് മാറ്റിയിട്ട് ആനിൻ്റെ സ്ട്രെസ് കൊടുത്തു. ഈസ് ദർ ആൻ ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ്. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ ആൻ ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എന്തായിരിക്കും അദ്ദേഹം ഉദ്ദേശിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്? ആൻ ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ്.
ഒരു യുണീക്ക് തിങ്കിങ് ഉണ്ടോ? യുണീക്ക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഇന്ത്യൻസിന് മാത്രമുള്ള ഒരു തിങ്കിങ് ആണ്.
യുണീക്ക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഇന്ത്യൻസിന് മാത്രമുള്ള ഒരു വേ. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആൻ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും നമ്മൾ എന്താ, ഒരു നമ്പറാണ് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത്, ഒറ്റ സംഖ്യ, ഒരു സിംഗുലർ തിങ് ഉണ്ടോ എന്നാണ് അവിടെ ചോദിക്കുന്നത്. ഒരു ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ജസ്റ്റ് ഒരൊറ്റ ഒരെണ്ണമാണോ അതോ പല രീതിയിലുണ്ടോ എന്നുള്ളതാണ് അവിടുത്തെ ഒരു ചോദ്യം പോയേക്കുന്നത്. ഒരു സിംഗുലർ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ് ആണോ? അല്ല. ബിക്കോസ് വൈ? ഇന്ത്യ ഒരു ഡൈവേഴ്സ് കൺട്രിയാണ്. ഗ്രേറ്റ് ട്രഡീഷൻസും ലിറ്റിൽ ട്രഡീഷൻസും ഒക്കെ ഉള്ള ഒരു കൺട്രിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ ഡൈവേഴ്സിറ്റി, വി സെലിബ്രേറ്റ് ഡൈവേഴ്സിറ്റി. സോ there are different fusion of thinking is fusion of culture is there. So a particular or a singular or a single way of thinking alla India ullathu, marichu oru diverged way of thinking aanullathu. So is there an Indian way of thinking in the question ചോദിച്ചാൽ അദ്ദേഹം നൽകിയിരിക്കുന്ന ആൻസർ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ therefore a single Indian way of thinking does not exist. It is a fusion of all the cultures that is existing in India. അപ്പോൾ അതാണ് സെക്കൻഡ് വേ ഓഫ് ഇന്റർപ്രറ്റിംഗ് ദ ടൈറ്റിൽ. ആൻഡ് തേർഡ് വേയിൽ അദ്ദേഹം സ്ട്രെസ് ചെയ്തിരിക്കുന്നത് ഇന്ത്യൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞുള്ള ടേമാണ്. സോ ഈസ് ദെയർ ആൻ ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ്, ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ, വെസ്റ്റേൺ വേ, അങ്ങനത്തെ ഡിഫറെൻറ്റ് വേ ഓഫ് തിങ്കിങ് ആയിട്ട് ഉണ്ടോ എന്നാണ് തേർഡ് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ ആയിട്ട് ചോദിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത്. So in the third question, അദ്ദേഹം കൊടുത്തേക്കുന്ന ആൻസർ എന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, India is a product of influences of external culture. നമുക്കറിയാം കൊളോണിയലിസം വന്നു, അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുള്ള ബാക്കി ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസസ്. അപ്പോൾ അതൊക്കെ കൊണ്ട് ഉള്ളൊരു കൾച്ചറൽ ഫോമാണ് ഇന്ത്യയിലുള്ളത്. സോ നമുക്ക് റിഫൈൻഡ് ആയിട്ട് ഇന്ത്യൻ വേ എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റത്തില്ല. Actually, there exists like Indian plus the external culture, the influence of external culture, the languages, the religion, the social evolution. Oh, page number. Okay, just wait a little. In my text, it is in page number 155. 155, Anna. Okay. So what I was telling. So what we see in India is nothing unique to India. ഇന്ത്യക്ക് മാത്രം അവകാശപ്പെടാനായിട്ടൊന്നുമില്ല. അത് ബാക്കി മറ്റ് വന്നിട്ടുള്ള കൊളോണിയൽ ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസിൻ്റെയും എല്ലാം കൂടെ ഒരു ടോട്ടൽ സം ആണ് ഉള്ളത്. സോ ഹൗവർ ഇന്ത്യ ഈസ് കേപ്പബിൾ ഓഫ് അഡാപ്റ്റിംഗ് ദ ചേഞ്ചസ് ആൻഡ് അക്കോമഡേറ്റിംഗ് ദീസ് എക്സ്റ്റേണൽ ഇൻഫ്ലുവൻസസ് ഇൻ ടു ഇറ്റ്സ് കൾച്ചർ. സോ ദാറ്റ്സ് ദി ആൻസർ വോട്ട് ഹി ഗേവ്. ഈസ് ദർ എൻ Indian way of thinking? If you ask a question, what we can say is that there is no such Indian compartmentalization, but Indians adapt, or the culture, it evolves and change, and it accommodates everything. So like that's the third way of explanation. And the fourth way he stressed on thinking. Like, is there thinking? Do Indians think? എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിലൊരു ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻ. സോ what he answered is that the Westerners are capable of thinking. The Westerners are capable of thought. But when it comes to India, like Indians, logic is rationalized with religion and superstition. So we think, but there are a lot of influences on that. It's not just thinking, direct thinking, but a mixture or an influence of what superstition, religion, etc. is added into that thoughts. So in India, actions are like what projected not through like our beliefs, or like more not through the like what beliefs of like what people have. So in Indian way of thinking, undo ennu choichina, the thinking, when we compare, like, is there thinking? What we can answer is Westerners, they think directly, but Indians, they like combine the religion, superstition, and logic. So it is an amalgamation of all these thoughts and all these ideas. So the introduction of this essay, which suggests that this essay explores the existence of like distinctly Indian way of thinking, then contrasting it with Western ideologies. So we are in that essay, A.K. Ramanujan always like compares our way of thinking with Westerners, like how they think, and then he propounded like context-free and context-sensitive way of thinking or way of approaches. So context-free is obviously the way of approach by the Westerners, and we Indians, we mostly depend on context-sensitive way of thinking. And it questions the uniqueness of Indian thought and examines various cultural and like philosophical perspectives. So the divergence in Indian and Western way of thinking, as I mentioned, like there's no singular Indian way of thinking. India is a diverse country, diversity because of India's diversity and multiplicity of traditions. Like, so we can't see a single way, but a combined way of thinking. And also the influence of Aryans, Mughals, British. So the colonial rule, the invasion of Aryans, then the Mughal rulers, all these influence India or Indian thoughts. So the characteristics of Indian thinking, when we look into the characteristics, we can understand Indian thought reflects contradictions, inconsistency, and context sensitivity, and it emphasizes individual experiences over universal truth, and views from Orientalists regarding Indian philosophy. That's why I said when Westerners think directly, Indians they include the context, like the religion or the superstition. So how superstitions are like evolved? It is evolved from personal experience or the experience of others, which are like transmitted by word of mouth. So it it not always the universal truth or fact, but a pinch of experience, individual experience is also added into Indian way of thinking. Then, so in this essay, Ramanujan talks about his father, and it is like he points out that his father, his the coexistence of tradition and modernity is explained through his father's like life or the way he behaves. And he said his father is both a mathematician and astrologer. So this duality exemplifies that like there is the coexistence of tradition and modernity, and where he always points that Indians all like have this inconsistency. What is consistency? Adherence to something, adherence to rule, or like following something throughout. But Indians have this tendency to be inconsistent. And he is explaining that through the anecdote of his father. And he's saying that his father shows duality, that his father is both a modern person as well as a traditional person. And he is both a mathematician and an astrologer. This duality like exemplifies Indian ability to like integrate contradictory domains without like cognitive like dissonance. And the central theme of this like essay is the distinction between context sensitivity and context free thinking. So Ramanujan, like what he showed is that Indian thought is predominantly context sensitive. So we are giving more importance to context sensitive, the meaning that moral and ethical decisions are influenced by specific situations rather than the universal principle. So for example, when if there is like murder happened, how a decision or a judgment is made, it's not like we don't directly follow the rule and do whatever the rule book has written. Instead, we consider the situation, we consider who is the victim, who is the predator. Then we study everything together with evidence. So it is context sensitive. And so this like specific situations. So what we do is that we can see the influence of specific situations rather than universal principles, and this contrasts with Western context free thinking. So in Western, like what in context free thinking, what happens is that they tend to apply universal rules regardless of the context. But Indians adhere to context sensitive way of thinking. And for instance, in Indian society, the application of moral codes, like as I mentioned, it is based on the factors like caste, community, social status, reflecting on the context dependent approach. Then Ramanujan also like discuss how modernization in India involves a shift from context sensitive to context free thinking. So we are trying to develop a way which is similar to Western ideas, and we are like evolving through that. Then what he discusses is the concept of Thinnai poetics. So the introduction in that Thinnai poetics, we can see the introduction of Agam, interior, and Puram, the exterior of Indian literature, and the lack of differentiation between personal feelings and external realities. And he like while he's studying or like talking about this concept of Thinnai poetics, he also points pointed out the contradictions within this thin line, illustration of Indian thought complexity. So then this context free and okay, so only do you have any question? I think it's a
No.
mistake. Okay.
Then
Yeah, do you have any question?
no, madam, no, madam.
Okay, fine. So Western ideologies lean towards like context-free approach. I already talked about that. And this cultural implication of context sensitivity is seen in like Indian traditions. And the role of modernization as a shift towards like more context free existence, like so now because of modernization, what happens is that we are like moving closer to context free existence from context sensitivity we are moving to context free existence. And the analysis of print media, social structures, and technological influences, then cultural borrowings, leading to the adaptation of like Western ideas in Indian context. So in this essay, we can conclude that this actually offers a like exploration of Indian cognitive landscape, like highlighting the inherent diversity, the adaptability, like a balance between tradition and modernity. Also, like analyzing the way of thinking, like Indian way of thinking, etc. And so what else I can say? So the essay is structured in the beginning, as I mentioned. The essay is structured in in 6 parts, and the first part it focuses on the title, like the different interpretations of title, by emphasizing on different words. Is first it emphasized the word is, then an, Indian, then thinking. So when we emphasize on each word, we get each different question, and these different questions are answered also in this essay. So I hope you will read this essay so that you will get a clear picture of this. Next is a fiction, The Guide by R.K. Narayanan. It's a novel. And do you know who are the like trio in Indian fiction? First person is R.K. Narayanan, and two more are there. Do you know who are they?
Yes, Somi.
Hmm?
One character is Somi.
Sorry, you're not all clear. Hello?
You're asking about the characters of the story?
No, I'm not asking
Okay.
about the characters of the story.
Okay,
In
sorry.
Indian English, in the Indian English literature, we call like the trio of fiction, Indian English fiction.
Oh, okay.
3 famous authors. The first one is R.K. Narayanan. Yeah, second one is Mulk Raj Anand. Then anyone else? One more person is there. R.K. Narayanan, Mulk Raj Anand.
Is it Raja Rao, ma'am?
Hmm?
Is it Raja Rao?
Yes, Raja Rao. Very good. So sorry, I lost. So these three are the trio of Indian English literature: R.K. Narayanan, Raja Rao, and Mulk Raj Anand. And we are going to discuss R.K. Narayanan's The Guide. So could you please tell me the other works of R.K. Narayanan? The famous work of R.K. Narayanan is
Malgudi Days.
yes, very good, Malgudi Days. And any other work you know? Any other work you read or you remember?
The English teacher.
Yeah, the English teacher, very good. Then, okay, these names are enough. We can like Mulberry Days, Swami and Friends, then Financial Expert, Bachelor of Arts, the English teacher, then Lowly Roads. These are some of his like, famous works. And so now, the guide. It's actually about Raju, or he's also known as Railway Raju. His journey from a railway guide to the spiritual guide. Journey from a railway guide to spiritual guide. So that's why the title is given as The Guide. Okay. So, how many of you read this novel? Have you read this before? The Guide? One. Anyone else? Two. So, as MA students, we are supposed to read these books. And please read it after this class. So here we will be exploring the themes and characters in this work. So this is a classic novel of R.K. Narayanan, which explores uh, like main theme, character, then socio-cultural context of the India during the time of its writing, and it's R.K. Narayanan. The specialty of R.K. Narayanan is that he always deal with the middle class life. Okay, the middle class life. When we see Mulberry Days, in that also he explains the middle class life, how it is portrayed. So here, in the guide, which is written in 1958, R.K. Narayanan actually he chronicles the life of Raju, a man from the fictional town Malgudi, and he evolves from a tour guide to a spiritual figure. Okay, so that's just the one liner of this novel. And so let's talk about like R.K. Narayanan. He was born in Madras in 1906. He published like 40 novels, and Swami and Friends is notable work. And he extensively talk about like middle class life in India, and most of his works are set in this fictional town Malgudi. So the summary of the guide, this narrates the story of Raju. So the main character is Raju. Then he is a shopkeeper. Actually, his father was a shopkeeper. His father had two shops, and then after the death of his father, he took over the shop. He was like while he was running the shop, he also like worked as a tour guide because he loved to do that. And then he became became a famous tour guide because whoever comes there, they wants him. They talk they want Raju as their guide because he talks a lot about things. He just fabricates stories, but the tourists loved that. and and through the being a tour guide, he meets uh, Rosie and her husband. And so he actually met Marco, the archaeologist, and Marco's wife is Rosie. Marco is Rosie is an Indian, and she is her actual name was I forgot her actual name, but he And anyone remember her actual name? Rosie's actual name, what was it? Her Indian name. Then she changed it into Rosie. Okay, so I think we can find it later. So he takes his like he likes Rosie and he wanted to have an affair with her, but then he understands that his Rosie and her husband, they are not having a very good relationship. So Rosie is a very good dancer, but her husband denied her to perform. So what Raju did is that he appreciated her. He gave like uh, he gave her motivation to be a dancer again. So then they had, so that led to an affair between them. And then under Raju's management, like Rosie, Rosie, who is a passionate dancer, he like because of her husband's like disapproval, she leaves her husband, and now she is with Raju. And under Raju's management, Rosie adopts like her stage name Nalini, and now she is performing as a performing in many places, and she became a famous dancer. And this created jealousy in Raju. Okay, so Raju is the root cause of Rosie's like achievements, but that in turn created jealousy in Raju, jealousy or greed also. So what happens is that when Rosie gets uh, what happens is that he forges Rosie's signature to get money, and it was caught. He was imprisoned for 2 years, and after his release from jail, he Raju he seeks refuge in an abandoned tree, abandoned temple, and there a man mistakes think that Raju is a holy person, and that man he's talking about his worries, his issues, and he wants blessing from Raju. And Raju didn't understand anything. Raju did nothing actually, because he was puzzled what this man is doing, why he is thinking that I am a saint or I am a holy person. Then then Raju felt so bad for this man, because this man is trying to fix his sister's marriage, but she's not ready to be married. And then Raju decides to talk to his sister, and he talks to his sister and convinces her. So that actually changed Raju's life. Then all the villagers started to approach Raju, and then Raju turned into a spiritual figure or a spiritual leader in that village. So that's the plot of the guide, and he now is a spiritual figure in that village. And that what happens is that that villages are facing drought. They need rain. So this Raju decided to go for fasting so that it will rain. So his fasting continued, and he became so ill. And towards the end, he understood that okay, this is the end of his life, and he said, okay, now I can hear the rain is coming. It is raining in the hills. And by saying that, Raju collapses, and the novel ends. So this is the plot, and now let's look into Raju and Rosie, their relationship. Raju's relationship with Rosie, it unfolds the amidst of her troubled marriage to Marco, and Rosie's passion for dance is suppressed by Marco's disapproval. So all these things made easy for Raju to persuade Rosie. And so what Raju did is that she encouraged Rosie's talent, and leading to their affair. And the themes of spiritual transformation. So here, Raju's life embodies deception and self-deception, and his journey transforms him from a tour guide to a purported holy man, and explores the theme of authenticity versus like facade in identity. And the cultural, and when we look into the cultural and post-colonial perspective, we can say the railway line, it symbolizes the cultural intrusion and the Western values, because Raju's father was actually having a peaceful life with one shop, and then that in that place a railway line was set up, and that actually made him to shut his store. And then when Raju took over his father's business later, Raju started to go to the railways as a tour guide. So it shows the adaptation. Once it was like kind of a villain to their family, then his father survived, but later his son, he's like approaching that railway line as a way of income, way of extra income for him. So this railway symbolizes like colonial intrusion and Western value. The Raju's character reflects the struggle of post-colonial identity, and it explores the ironies of existence and the middle-class anxieties of modern India. So the concluding analysis is that like, Raju evolves throughout the story and showing the potential for change. And Narayan's narrative, it intertwines comedy with the deep social insight. Like ultimately, it conveys hope and capacity for individual transformation. So this is Raju's story, the guide, the person who evolved from a railway guide to a spiritual guide. So what do you think? Do you have any comment on this, on guide? I'm asking you a question like, do you have any suggestion or your thoughts on the title guide? Hello, are you there? Or am I the only one present here? Okay,
No, ma'am, we
please.
can proceed to next.
Okay, I can proceed to the next. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So the next work is uh, Shame by Salman Rushdie. Let me take it. So Shame by Salman Rushdie. So could you please like give me some works of Salman Rushdie which you know? Or who is Salman Rushdie?
Midnight Children.
Yes, very good. Midnight Children. It's a famous work.
Satanic verses. Satanic
Uh,
verses.
yes, Satanic Verses. Very good. Any other works you know? Okay. So how many of you read Shame? Anyone? Is there anyone who read the book Shame? No problem. Please read it. So this is a novel published in 1983, and it is like, so we know what is the specialty of Midnight Children. It is a magic realism work. So Shame is also a work rich in magic realism and like simultaneously a political allegory. So it talks about a fictionalized city in Pakistan, and mm, this narrative centers on the intertwined lives of two families, one of Haider and then of Harappa. And this actually, these characters actually like Raza Haider and the other person's name is Iskandar Harappa. So these two are the allegorical representation of real Pakistani leaders. And the story is, I mentioned, set in an imaginary town in Pakistan. And the main character is Omar Khayyam Sakhil. And he was born to three sisters, Chunni, Munni, and Bunny. Okay, it is not biologically possible, but he is believed to be the son of these three sisters, and they never revealed who his biological mother or father is. So what he knows is that he is the son of three sisters, Munni, Chunni, and Bunny. And he eventually leaves his family, his mother's, to pursue education, and he became a doctor. Like he becomes like entangled with two prominent figures, Iskandar Harappa. He's a charismatic politician, and General Raza Haider. He's a military leader. And these two characters, like they are often interpreted as the allegorical like representation of real Pakistani leaders. And I'm giving you the homework to find who are those two. Okay. Or do you know who are those two? I think you don't, because since you haven't read it. And Omar Khayyam, he marries the daughter of Raza, and her name is Sufia. And Sufia is a uh, what, uh, mentally retarded girl. And Sufia embodies the concept of shame. Okay. And so this Rasa has two daughters, Sufia and Naveed, and they are nicknamed as Shame and Good News. So Sufia is named as Shame. So the title Shame actually refers to Sufia. Not only Sufia, but there are like different kinds of shame running throughout this story. So after reading this novel, you can, when you think about the title, you get different perspectives, different narrations. So Sufi is a mentally retarded girl, and then she was. Everyone believed that it is because of the god's punishment. And Omar married her, and Sophia is behaves like a beast. Sometimes because of the, she becomes like possessed. The beast possesses her, and then she behaves so violently. Once she bit off like heads of 200 turkeys. So that's her violence like portrayed in the novel. So Omar tried to treat Sufia for her illness, but nothing happened. And then like he started to treat her, and then they eventually fall in love with her. So now Omar married to her, but they are not having any physical relationship, and Omar is satisfying his needs with the help of what's her name? So Sufia's Aya. And once Sufia find this, and that made her more like violent. Like that was like extreme level of her violence was seen on that day. And she was portrayed as a mythological creature. Then somehow like Sufia escaped from that act. Then Sufia was, because of her like the great violence and the destructive power, they locked Sufia in the attic, and they gave her drugs and locked her in the attic. And somehow Sufia escaped from there, and she transformed into a mythological creature. So that's the power of this magic realism. So it's not like the real things are not represented, but in a magical way. So a person who behaves like a beast is now transformed into a mythological creature, and that creature like called White Panther. And it is believed that she terrorized the whole country. So then So this is like the novel. So the novel culminates in tragedy as Sophia's uncontrollable rage leads to multiple deaths, including that of Omar. So that's how the story ends. And now let's look into the overview of shame. It is okay, that I already mentioned. The themes the novel deals prominently with the theme of shame, with the character of Sophia. So the shame uh, is all like based on Sophia's character. Sophia's violent behavior is rooted in her upbringing and societal neglect. And shame influences the actions and identities of various characters. That's why I said it is not only based on Sophia but on different people. And here Omar, he is the son of three mothers. So there also we can see the element of shame. And there are many other circumstances we can see. Then comes corruption and nepotism. The exploration of political corruption, it exemplified through the character of Harappa. Then nepotism illustrated through power dynamics within the ruling families. And these consequences of corruption lead to the eventual downfall of Harappa. And then gender discrimination can be seen in this work. The plight of women depicted through the life of Shakil sisters, the misogyny in Rambat in their families, emphasizing the theme of disfranchisement. Then symbols of like poor parenting and neglect are present in Sophia's narrative. Then we can look into the imagery and symbolism. So rich imagery, like it enhances the theme and character experiences and the use of similes. Archana, do you have any question or doubt? Okay, I saw a hand raised, that's why. Okay. So rich imagery is seen here, and this elements of magic realism that is like enhanced with the help of symbolism, then imagery, metaphors, and these symbols represent various societal issues, including corruption. And now let's look into the character analysis of Sophia. And I mentioned Sophia is the embodiment of shame and violence. Her psychological struggle reflects like societal judgment. And the transformation into a mythological creature symbolizes culmination of her internal chaos. So Rashadi's shame intricately weaves the theme of shame, power, and gender, ultimately reflecting on the intersection of personal and political narrative. And it works as a political allegory, which shows the actual life of or the actual uh, conflict between two Pakistani politicians, or the and this the narrative style is the narrative style of this work is first person narrative. So the first person narrator, he is unnamed but yet intimately like familiar with the characters, so he's providing a conversational and reflective tone. And this narrative approach combines like the elements of magic realism, creates a richly layered story that blurs the line between like reality and fiction. So if we ask, is this a reality? Is this reality or is this a real life scenario? No, it is not. Because in real life there is no person who can like turn into a mythological figure or some other magical elements which are happening in this work. It can't be applied into real life. But through the narration or through this narrative technique, Salman Rushdie, he drew like a thin, blurry line between reality and fiction. So, what is your take on shame? What do you think about shame? What do you think about the plight of Sufia or Omar Khayyam? Okay, silence is the best answer. So now, shall we take a break for? Okay. Oh yeah, please talk.
No, sorry, ma'am. I just joined now, so I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't heard the full class. That's what. I'm really sorry about
Oh,
it.
okay, no problem. So we were discussing first prose work, then two novels, and so we finished that much. We finished. Is there an Indian way of thinking by A.K. Ramanjan, then the guide by R.K. Narayan, and Shame by Salman Rushdie.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
This guide, the guide article. I mean, guide novel. It's a novel.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a
and
novel.
uh, that movie was based on this novel. There was a movie.
Which movie?
One Hindi movie was there. Guide. I went through this paragraph, so it was similar to that movie.
Okay, I haven't seen that movie. Does anyone know about this movie?
It's an
Yeah,
old movie of
yeah, there is
Devanand.
actually a movie by Devanand and Wahida Rahman.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the same story.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what
Okay,
I
okay.
just went through now. So I thought it was, I didn't know actually there was a novel like this.
Okay, this is actually a novel by R.K. Narayan.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. So we can take a 5 minute break. Now it's 6:55. Let's come back at 7. Okay, and now the total strength is 97. And I hope 97 people will be like, okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Deepa,
We'll be there. Okay.
okay, okay. Deepa, do you have any question? Miss Deepa? Okay. So let's take a break now. Thank you. So it's 7 now. 77 ആയി നമ്മുടെ strength. So where are the others? ഇപ്പോൾ വരുമായിരിക്കും അല്ലേ?
I'm present, ma'am.
Okay.
We
Ah,
didn't
you're
leave.
present.
Actually, I didn't leave.
Yeah, that's a good thing. ബാക്കിയുള്ളവർ വരുമായിരിക്കുമോ?
We did not wait, madam. We can resume.
Okay, we can resume that. Okay, somebody raised their hand. Is there any question?
No, ma'am. One thing, we have heard about Amar Khayyam as a poet. This is another character, I suppose.
Yeah, this is another character. Actually, they named him after this poet Omar Khayyam.
Okay, okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So now let's look into Sea of Poppies by Amitav Ghosh. So this Sea of Poppy is included in his famous trilogy, Ibis trilogy. And do you know which are the other two works present in this trilogy? Ibis trilogy, Sea of Poppies, then two more are there. Anyone? River of Smoke and Flood of Fire. So these three are in the Ibis trilogy. Sea of Poppies is the first novel in this series, and it is a journey through colonial India. And this novel presents a rich narrative which is set in the backdrop of opium trade in 19th century India. And this story, this story actually unfolds through the interconnected lives of diverse characters. So there are many characters in this novel, and all of them meet in the ship called Ibis. And so now, towards the end, their life is merged together. And so the overview of the novel, it focuses on Diti. Diti is a Indian poppy farmer, and she is from Bihar. And it chronicles her journey to Mauritius aboard the ship Ibis, and it is set during opium trade, addressing its impact on Indian society, and introduces multiple characters facing various adversities. So now let's look into the plot or the summary of this novel. Ibis trilogy, Sea of Poppies. And the main character I mentioned, Diti, and she is trapped in an oppressive marriage, and her husband, he was an opium addict, and he died. And when he died, his family pressured her to perform sati. And Kalua, a lower caste man, he actually helped her or rescued her from that sati performance. And now Kalua and Diti, they are in the ship. They want to go away from their place, so they are planning to go to Mauritius in that ship. And then next main character is Sakari, and Sakari is an American sailor of mixed race, and he joins IBIS to evade racial prejudices in America. So each character in this novel, they have their own problem. And then comes Neil Rethenhalter. He was a wealthy person, and his life actually unravels, or like goes to like goes to like goes to a downfall due to the debts from this opium trade. And wrongly, he was convicted for forgery, and he is sentenced to penal transportation to Mauritius, leading to his loss of caste and status. And next comes Paulette Lambert. She's an orphaned French woman raised in India, and she feels more aligned with Indian culture than European. And she wants to actually escape from the societal constraints, and she don't want to get married, so she decided to elope from there, and she disguises herself and secures passage on the Ibis, seeking a new life in Mauritius. So all these people in this ship, they wanted a new life, wanted a new beginning. Okay. And so there are more characters in this novel, and this the story begins with, I mentioned, Deepti's struggle, and she escaped from there. And towards the end, what happens is that as the journey progresses, the characters from unexpected alliances, they stage dramatic climax, and which actually led to the subsequent novels in this trilogy. And this theme of white supremacy, when we talk about theme of white supremacy and colonialism, Paulette, she discovers ingrained racism among the Indian servants. The servants demonstrate internalized belief about European superiority and health implications of colonial policies on local population. Then the caste system in India, and that we can see through the character Kalua's experience, and it actually shows abuses he faced because of his lower caste, and an examination of societal marginalization and violence can be seen here. Then the struggle, and there is another important point, because gendered issues or women being subject what objectified, because Deepti, she is married and she has a child, but that child's father is actually her husband's brother, because her husband was not able to uh, uh, was not able doesn't have the ability in procreation. So what her mother-in-law did is that she actually helped her brother, Deepti's brother-in-law, to rape Deepti. And then in this ship also we can see an instance where the others try to rape Deepti, and Kalua fighting against that. So that's why I mentioned that Deepti's struggle is it is intertwined with gender and caste oppression. And the symbolism and metaphors, the ox cart is seen to in the beginning of the novel actually, and that symbolizes the sustenance for lower caste, and Deepti's vision for the ship it represents hope and a new beginning. So she was doomed in her own life in Bihar. So she wanted a new life. Even though she's going to be a laborer in the colony, she feels that she will be liberated. So that's why she's going to Mauritius in that ship. So all the people who are in that ship, they are traveling to Mauritius to be the laborers in that colony. And we can see the use of stars to denote fate and life's unpredictability in this novel. So next comes gender and women's agony. It is forced intoxication and subsequent quest for revenge, and it explores the treatment of women as commodity. So commodification is there, and it highlights the societal expectations of women within patriarchal structures, and the practice of sati. It is also mentioned in this novel. So when Diti's husband died, the family insisted her to perform sati. That means to jump in the pyre of her husband. So she should die alive. So, and Kalua actually rescued her from that act. Let's look into character analysis. Diti is a representation of resilience and suffering. And Kalua's character, he symbolizes the strength, the struggles of lower caste individuals. And Zachary reads evolution from a servant to a gentleman, challenges societal norms. And there is another interesting character in this novel, that is Babu Naub Kishan, and he is a person who coordinates all these people in this ship, and his spiritual journey is seen in this work. He is more connected to his aunt, and his aunt was more into spirituality, and because of her influence he like trans like he became a more spiritual person. And then the conclusion. So the narratives of Sea of Poppies, it intertwines the personal and historical elements, showcasing the challenges that brought about by colonialism in and the opium trade in India. So through these characters, so we saw many characters in this novel. They all have their own stories, their own difficulties, their own struggles to narrate. Plus, all of their lives are interconnected or connected towards the ship, and to narrate a struggle which is created in that ship itself. So, through his characters, Amitav Ghosh illustrates the complexities of identity within the socio-economic economic struggles of the time. Then also the Sea of Poppies. It shows okay. So what actually are the specialty of Amitav Ghosh narration is that it always give us the elements of history. Most of his works are historical fictions. He connects history with story or with fiction. So here the history, the struggle of people during the opium war or the opium cultivation, all these things are shown in this novel. Deepthi, she was a poppy farmer, and so she knows the struggle. So through her life we get a glimpse about how those farmers in that age or that time suffered, or what they got back after this, after being a farmer. So that's about Amitav Ghosh's Sea of Poppies. Do you have any question, or do you have any comment on this?
Ma'am, actually, I purchased a copy of this novel.
Okay, so have you read that?
Yeah, on seeing that it's a part of our curriculum, but I found it very difficult to read and comprehend. Not a simple
Yes,
novel
it
at all.
is. Yeah, it is. It is not at all a simple novel,
Yeah.
and we have to read it multiple times actually to understand it, because different narrations are going on in between that novel, right?
Yeah, complex piece of writing. Yeah.
Yeah, complex pieces of writing. That's a specialty of Amitav Ghosh and Salman Rushdie.
Yeah,
Both of their
that
works are
novel is.
really complex. Yeah.
Yeah, what sort of questions will be asked from these novels about one particular character?
Yeah, character analysis will be there.
Okay.
Then historical context, or how history is connected in this novel. That can be another question. And when it
Like
comes
the
to
practice of
shame,
study. Right?
yeah, practice of sati, then this opium war.
Oh.
And about the caste
The,
system, about the caste system also, ma'am.
yeah, about the caste system, yeah, that can be a question. But in that we can give like general answers. But
No,
the
because this
specific question,
Kalua, the character Kalua, he is symbolizing the struggles of the lower caste. So caste
yes,
system is
exactly.
the main crisis of that time.
Yes, caste system is one of the themes in this novel. So
Yeah, yeah.
the caste issues, the lower, the what the lower caste people feel, or how they are like suppressed, oppressed. So all those can be a question. Very good. And also you should be like aware of the backdrop of opium war between
Yeah.
like during that period. Then when it comes to shame, you should know the partition, India's
Of yeah,
Pakistan
India
partition.
Pakistan
Yeah,
partition. Yeah.
yeah, that you should know. Then
And about that sati practice that prevailed in India at that time also.
yes, sadi, yeah, that practice of like yeah, sati practice. Is there anything else we can mention? So try to like go through the historical like evidences. If they mention anything related to history, just go through that so that we can add it in our book, like
Okay.
piece of
Okay,
writing.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am.
So next question, sorry. So the next fiction is by Bharti Mukherjee. It is Jasmine. Okay, so have you read this one, Jasmine? Anyone?
No, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. So it is published in 1989, and it narrates the transformative journey of a young lady, a young Indian lady, and as she navigates through like various identities across the continents. So Jasmine is her name. It is not actually her name. She was born like her name when her parents gave was Jyoti, and then as she like transformed, her names also transformed from Jasmine, Jassy, Jace, Jane. So many faces are present in her life. So she was born in a rural village in Hastinapur, and then she traveled to America and different parts of America. And through that journey, she evolved. So she was a widow actually. Uh, then okay, so let's look into the plot before that. So this novel presents the journey of a young Indian woman and navigating her identity in America. And it explores the theme of transformation, identity crisis, and the nuances of immigrant life. And as reflected in Jasmine's evolution from Jyoti to Jasmine. And this novel, published in 1989, and this is a non-linear narrative. So the story at first it begins with her birth, then it jumps into the present life. So it is a non-linear narration. So the story chronicles Jasmine's life from her birth in India to her experiences in America. And the central themes are exile, identity crisis, and the immigrant experience. So the character background, Jasmine, she's the protagonist. She undergoes like multiple transformations. Initially named as Jyoti, she's married. She gets married to Prakash, a modern thinking husband. But an astrologer, like when she was a child, an astrologer, like he said that her husband, first husband, will die. So this shows the foregrounding of her life. So her first, what he predicted is that her first husband will die and she will go for exile. So this is the foregrounding of this novel, and that exactly happens. Prakash dies, and then she goes to America, where in America she goes to a place called Iowa. So that can be considered as exile. So she marries to. So their plan. So Prakash and Jyoti actually planned to immigrate to US, and then Prakash was assassinated by terrorists. So determined to honor Prakash's dream, so what Jasmine did is that she embarked the journey to America. So they actually, Prakash and Jyoti planned to go to America, to emigrate to America, but before that, Prakash died. He was assassinated by the terrorist, and then she embarked that journey alone. And upon her arrival, she had a lot of traumatic experiences, including assault. Then she struggled a lot to survive. And in Florida, she became Jassy. That means her name became Jassy. Then in New York, she became Jace. And she worked as a caregiver for the daughter of a Manhattan couple. Then in Iowa, she adopted the name Jane. Then she built a relationship with a banker called Bud. And Bud is a person who is in wheelchairs. And so we can see like her adaptations and her like way of transformation. And so now her new husband is so theme of identity. So I mentioned this, I guess. Yes. So Jasmine's relationship with men significantly influenced her identity. So her identity, like she's slowly exploring things. So that shows her like relationship with many men. So her marriage with Bud signifies a reversal of power dynamics and sexual politics. Then the interpersonal connections provide a glimpse like into Jasmine's evolving place within American society. Then cultural assimilation. This like novel portrays like Jasmine's journey towards like assimilation into American culture. So she navigates identity formation and cultural adaptation, highlighting the tension between her past and present. Jasmine's experiences, they are often illustrate the immigrant struggle to balance tradition and modernity. So immigrants, they always have this thought of like the struggle of being like accommodated in some a place, and also they want to find a balance between their tradition and modernity, because they want to get adapted, but they don't want to lose their tradition. They want their roots. Sometimes they struggle to find their roots. So the symbolism and setting, the story spans like various locations, reflecting like Jasmine's physical and psychological journey. Then it's like setting range from like rural India to urban America, like illustrating her like dislocation and yearning for belonging. So she was in rural India. From there, she went to America. She was more of a traditional person. From that, she moved to modernity. So from rural to urban, then from like traditional to modernity, and there she's trying to like struggling to find the balance. Mm, then so now I mentioned she got married to another man, Bud, and there she like they have Just oh. There she like so themes which we can discuss in this is that American dream. The story explores the theme, like the concept of American dream, like which both shows its allure and the personal cause, like associated with like, relentlessness or the self awareness that we need, and this person's like an immigrant struggle or challenge to reconcile with the past or the traditions with the new realities. So that's why, because of that, we can see in America temples, and when that means people in India, like Indians who went to America or in any other like foreign countries, they try to like or relive in their past or to relive in their or or to like enhance their roots. So they start to like be more aligned to their culture. So we can see the Malayalis in Dubai or in other places, they celebrate Onam very beautifully than us because they want to cherish the memories. And they if we compare our Onam celebration with that of theirs, it's a huge difference. They celebrate each and every minute like thing, like show which why they do that is to like show to or to but develop a balance, a very good balance between the tradition and their roots, or sorry, the modernity or the new realities and their roots. So Jasmine's multiple names changes or multiple name changes, it represent her fluid identity or her fluid nature, her way to be adapted. So she's ready to be adapted in any situation, and she's ready to like even change her name so that she get accommodated in a society. So this novel delves into the themes of identity, migration, and transformation. So that's about Jasmine. And do you have any like question or doubt?
No questions, ma'am. Actually, we can consider this to be as a woman empowerment too. That as she is coming from a rural area and she's reaching the high standards. Why don't
Yes,
we?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, please go on. You can add more.
No, that's what I consider it like that, because throughout the
Yeah.
work we are seeing her progress. Progress doesn't mean money making, but still having a place in the society, okay, and
Yes.
developing also. Okay, actually, she's coming from a rural area, and her thoughts, her way of thinking, everything is a bit advanced.
Yes.
So this can be considered as women empowerment too. I
Yeah.
mean,
And also the influence of Western culture in Indian society also.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there is an impact of that.
So is there any other opinion? Anyone? Anyone wants to share your opinion about Jasmine, Jyoti, her transformation? A woman exploring her life, struggling to find a balance between her tradition, her roots, and new realities. What do you think? This is not a story about a loyal wife, right? What? Uh, a wife who is like dedicated to one husband or to be with her husband, or a wife who performs sati when her husband died.
No, because in the life, the flow of life, the life is going on. So we should be adapted, and this is an inspiration too. So that we can't. If she's a widow, that doesn't mean that she doesn't have the right to pursue her dreams. Okay,
Yes.
she can't sit idle because the life must go on. She should go on, and she's finding a way for that.
Yes. Good. So, any other opinion? Any other counter argument? It is good if you can talk, because these are the places where you can like share your ideas with your peer. Yeah, all of you are in. Okay, please talk.
Yeah, well, all of these novels, they are far from our traditional notions of heroism and all that, because in most of the novels or most of the movies that we see, always the virtues or the virtuous people win and the guilty are punished. But in actually, it's not like that. So in most of these novels, the things are like that. What actually happens in life, we cannot say that which is good or which is bad. The reality is shown in these novels. That's what I get from your essay, from your lecture.
Okay, thank you. Good.
Yeah, actually, we can't define good and bad. It is in our own terms. We don't have the
Yes.
right to criticize anybody. Maybe for them that is good. We don't have the right to criticize, because when they are when they are down, maybe nobody is there for them, and when they are progressing, criticism comes obviously. So we can't take it in a wrong sense. Of course, traditions are important, our culture is important, but it happens in the flow of life. Many things, many elements come through.
Yes.
In my opinion, okay.
Yeah. Every opinion matters. So in this postmodern world, there is no right or wrong. There is no like truth. We are finding the truthness of the truth. So
No,
everything is like,
of course, we should consider the culture, the traditions, or whatever according to religion. Everything we should consider, but there are some ifs and buts. Okay, because when, especially in the society, when a single lady or something, there will be more. People will be pelting stones. I think so. So in this, of course, she's going with the flow and she's adapting many elements in her life. But in her point of view, it's okay.
okay. So any other suggestion, comment? We have 91 members. Till now, I heard only the voice of 3 or 4 people. Where are the others? Are you there? So, the one who raised your hand, do you have any doubt? Mr. Krishnanand? No, okay. So, okay, those who are present here, could you please give a thumbs up? Just to check all are present. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm happy. All are there. Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. So any other suggestion or comment, or can we like go to the next work? Someone mentioned man. The recording is available, and that will be shared in your groups. Is this fiction mentioned in non-detailed study? It's not important. It is it comes under non-detailed work, but that doesn't mean it is not important to study. Okay, it is non-detailed. That means we don't have to like go in detail. So I'm not like, if you have time, you can read that novel. I'm not like insisting you to read it, but it's better as MA students, we are supposed to read the books which we are studying, and we have to read beyond our like curriculum. So class is not over. Class is not over. Please don't leave. So it's you should not consider it as unimportant, but just read it, study. And the other books like Shame and Sea of Poppies, they are very much important, and you should read those books because they are like one of the like classic books, main books in Indian English literature. And as literature students, you are supposed to know those like works of Salman Rushdie and Amitabh Ghosh. At least you should read one book of them. Yeah, questions will be there, of course. So now let's look into the next work, that is Mistress by Anita Nair. So Anita Nair, she is a Malayali. So it is a journey through art, relationship, and identity. So it captures the complexity of relationships. We can see like different relationship, like what different layers of relationship we can see here. Then role of art in personal identity, then challenges faced by its characters, the backdrop of Kathakali. So we can see a lot of reference or elements of Kerala. A touch of Kerala is in this novel, Mistress. A touch of Kerala is seen in this novel, Mistress. So Kathakali is there, traditional art form of Kerala, either you know. So the background of the novel, it introduces the plot centered around Stewart, Christopher Stewart's visit to Kerala. So seeks to explore the life of Koman. Koman is a renowned Kathakali artist. And this highlights the themes of extramarital affairs. See this? It's not this extramarital affair, but affairs. So we can see multiple extramarital affairs in this novel. And then identity, artistic expression. So the character analysis first is Radha. Radha is the niece of Koman. Koman, we know, Koman is a renowned Kathakali artist. Koman is a Kathakali artist, and Radha is Koman's niece. And Radha is married to Shyam. Radha actually had an affair before marriage with an old man, like with an older man, not old man, an older man comparing to her age, and she what she got pregnant, but it was like abortion, and then later, like to save her family's name, they married her to Shyam. Sham already know her past, and he's hoping that one day she will love him back. So they are not having a very good relationship, family relationship. Okay. Please give me a second. Just a minute. So till where I said Koman, Radha, Shyam. So Shyam and Radha, they are not having a very good relationship. And then comes Chris or Chris. What's his name? Christopher or Chris. Chris came to meet Common, and then Radha and Shyam, they are actually having a homestay, not homestay, a resort kind of thing, and this foreigner Chris, they stay in Radha's and Shyam's resort, and then what happens is that Radha and Chris, they develop a liking towards each other. Radha and Chris, they develop a liking towards each other, and now they are having an affair, and that Common came to know about it, but he won't confront. So Common know about this relationship between Chris and Radha which is going on, but he doesn't question them. And what he does is that when he meets Chris, he narrates his life story. So Common, he was his father and mother. They had a love marriage. Then after his birth, his father and mother got separated, and they went away, leaving him behind, giving him to a doctor. Then what happens is that in later days, his father accepts him. Common's father accepts him, and Common then lives with his father, and his father's father already got married to someone else, and he has a family, and they accommodate Common there, and then Common learn Kathakali and become a great artist in that. So towards the end of the novel, we find that why Chris came there is to understand whether understand whether Common is his father or not, because Chris' mother once had an affair with Common long before, and so he wants to know whether Common is his father or not. And then Chris talks to him, and Common confesses that no, you are not my son. And then Chris understood that, and he leaves. And then Radha understand that the affair which she had with Chris is not something out of love. It was purely out of lust. And now Radha is pregnant with Chris' child, and Shyam knows about this, and he became very furious. Why? Because he was actually planning to go abroad before his marriage, and then Radha's family compelled him not to go there and get married to Radha. And now he's having a crisis. He's not having a very good life. He's not having a very good family life, and his wife is now pregnant with someone else's child. So Shyam is very furious. And what he did is that he performed marital rape. He performed marital rape. Do you have any question? Someone is speaking. A.K. Akmal. Please mute yourself. Okay, good. So then, and when it comes to the climax, Shyam understands his mistake, and he's ready to accept Radha and her child as his own. And Radha also like find a new way, a new purpose of her life, and that's how the novel ends. So this is such a complex novel with a lot of extramarital affairs, identity crisis, etc. So now let's look into the character Sham. Sham represents the patriarchal norms. I mean, I think now you can figure out like why it is mentioned that like he why he adhered to like patriarchal norms, and he was trying to control Radha, and like that marital rape, which shows the control which patriarchal society or the patriarchs like try to impose, and the struggle with feeling of jealousy and inadequacy is also seen there, and his character encapsulates the emotional turmoils in loveless marriage. Then the character Common. Common's life as a Kathakali artist reflects the intersection of art and personal life. So his narrative unveils deeper question about artistic success and identity, and he serves as a mentor and voice of reason amidst like personal chaos. So now let's look into the like themes explored in this work. The art and adultery is a theme, and it explains or examines like how relationships are impacted by art. Then the quest for freedom, it highlights like female struggle against societal norms. Then identity and relationship, that probes the personal conflict faced by the characters. So now let's look into the narrative structure. This is divided into three parts, focusing on breaking conventions, repercussions, and recalibration of life. So, the extramarital affair that can be shown as the way of breaking conventions. Then the setbacks they received, or like the breach between Chris and Radha, and Radha now is pregnant. All these shows the repercussions. Then the recalibration that shows that how Radha um, like put together her life again. Now Radha and Sham are going to have a new life with the child. So the parallel plots intertwine personal stories with broader societal social commentary, and it engages readers to ponder over the nature of love and betrayal. So this novel, so we can conclude this as like this challenges the readers to reflect on nature of relationships, impact of culture, art on identity, and it proposes profound questions regarding the balance between personal desires and like societal expectations. So what do you think, like how do you feel after hearing this story? Are you wonderstruck?
Yeah, I really wonder why university is selecting such novels to teach our younger generation. What's the message we are getting?
No, it's not that bad actually. It's not like showing vulgarity. It's showing like how people live or how people think. This is like pure form of life. It is not like uh, it's not a fiction.
No, this is the real face of the society, present
Yeah,
society. It's the real face. And
it's
so,
not
some
like
are,
present or past. Okay, continue.
okay, whatever. It's the real face of the society. And that we know some things like that are happening, but the writer wants to actually deliver this.
So, any other comment on this?
Ma'am, I would like to
Yeah,
talk
please.
about the fate of Sadia, um,
Yeah.
woman's mother. Just I've not read this novel, but as far as the material is discussing about her, she represents, the changing mindset of women. she tries to get freedom from her place, her native place. But ultimately, uh, in spite of all her efforts after her marriage, also, she is committing suicide. So her fate is kind of disappointing
No,
in
actually,
this.
Sadia, she was enjoying freedom already. She was enjoying freedom, and apart from that, she is because religion, everything is important in a society,
Mhm.
and she
Yes,
is going away with another a person from another religion,
religion.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So, but she was enjoying freedom already in her house. I think so. Like,
Oh,
yeah. Because some things are depicted in that as I have given you freedom. I think Sadia's father is saying something like that
uh-huh.
about
Yes,
that.
yes, yes. Yeah, he blames
Yeah.
himself for giving her freedom.
Giving her freedom, yeah. But
Yeah,
freedom is not the thing to be given by somebody, but still she was
yeah,
enjoying freedom. And still, despite that, she has done that. Then after, and as you said, after marriage also, her fate is means she's not finding or satisfied. That's why she's committing
yes, yes.
suicide. But that
Suicide.
it can be because she was adamant of bringing up the
About
child as in her own religion. When you are
yes, yes. Okay.
yes, when you are in a mixed actually, if it the means from two religions, when you're coming from two religions or two castes, you have to face that maybe the child will be going into that religion. It can happen, so she should have
Mhm.
been ready for that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, ma'am.
Which novel are you
Thank
talking
you.
about? Yeah, which character?
Sadia, that is Common's mother.
I see.
Okay. Any other point you want to add? Anyone else? So Ms. Rexona and Meera, they gave their valuable comments on this novel. So like the anyone else want to add? No more discussion? Okay. Okay then. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine. I thought I'm not audible. Okay. So now let's take another break and then resume. Please don't leave. Please don't leave. Just unmute yourself. So just mute yourself and you can go somewhere else, drink some water, roam around and come back. So our
Okay,
strength
ma'am.
is
Thank you.
81. Before it was 97. Okay. So please come back soon. Do you want a 5 minute break or 10 minute break? What do you prefer? 5 or 10?
No, ma'am, we have 1 more hour, I think.
What?
We have 1 more hour, right?
Yeah, we have 1 more hour. I'm asking you, like, do you want a 5 minute break or a ten
Okay.
minute break?
A 5 minute break will do. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, okay, fine. Thank you. Come back at 8.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So shall we? Are you all there? Yes. Good. It's 65 now. Okay, good. Let's go to the next work. So now we are jumping into the next, our last unit, short stories. So first it was prose, then we had two fiction units. First one was the detailed one, the second one was the non-detailed one, and now the last unit is short stories. So here we will be learning about three beautiful short stories. The first one is Kite Maker by Ruskin Bond. So, have you read this story before? Short story before? The Kite Maker?
Ma'am, all these short stories are non-detailed.
Uh, Let me check. I think yes. Yes, they are non-detailed study. So, have you read this book? This short story,
Yes.
Kite Maker? Okay, could you please tell me what the plot or the just the main idea of this? Oh, hello. Just your perspective.
It's about the story of a Mahmoud, a kite maker, and some changes, social changes about in his life. When he was a young man, a lot of people approached him for buying kites. But now, when he became an old man, the kite flying culture was also vanished. Like this, I don't remember exactly.
Yes, you're like what you're saying is correct. You can continue.
So isolation in life is depicted in the story, especially when one become a older man, an older man.
Okay, very good. So Mahmood, he was a kite maker. He was like a famous kite maker. Even the Nawab in that place, the local chieftain, he what he bought like kites from Mahmood, and then now what happened is that now nobody is playing with kites, so nobody need kite makers. So Mahmood is uh, like and like realizing that his profession, which was like once a very like graceful one, is now nothing. And no, so he what he did is that he made a small. He's making kites for his grandchild, grandchild Ali Hussein, and that grandchild is playing with his kites. So in this short story, we can see the symbolism of nature that wrestling board employs. That Mahmood is sitting near a big giant tree, old banyan tree, and his grandchild is near a young spry mimosa tree, like which represents the vitality of a child. So now Ali Hussein. He's playing with this kite, and then in this short story we can see how the partition of India into India and Pakistan that made a breach in Mahmood's life. Now Mahmood's another son is living in Pakistan because of the partition, and he can't come to India. And Mahmoud is feeling very sad about that, but he's a bit relieved because at least one of his sons is there and he can see the growth of one of his what, grandchild. Then Then what? So this is actually like set in rural India, which like shows the shows like how Mahmoud is like reflecting on his past and observing the evolution of the world, or how or in the present or evolution of the world around him. And this sorry. So now let's look into the overview of Ruskin Bond. He's a famous writer, writer of poetry, fiction, and non-fiction with around 70 books, known for depicting themes of nature and childhood. And writings often reflect the healing power of nature. So he's more connected to nature. Ruskin Bond is more connected to nature. And the summary of Kite Maker is that the narrative focuses on old man's reminiscence while his grandson flies a kite. And the nature is symbolized through the banyan tree, uh, like old age, and mimosa tree, the youth. And old Mahmud reflects on the decline of his kite making tradition. And themes explored in this are loneliness and mortality associated with old age. So, vulnerability during old age, that is portrayed in this short story. And we know when we say vulnerability during old age, uh, two sections of like people, when it comes to age categories, two sections of people are vulnerable. The uh, children and old people. The people between them, they are more independent, and these two section depends on this the adult people, the adults, or the like the young adults, we can call them as young adults. And so as I mentioned, in the case of vulnerability, children and old people, both of them are vulnerable. But the difference is that old people are aware of their vulnerability because they already know how privileged or how they lived without being a dependent. But now they are dependent to someone else who once depended on them. So that's the problem with old age vulnerability. And children, they are vulnerable, but they are not aware about their vulnerability. A newborn baby, he or she or that child doesn't know about their vulnerability. They don't know that they are like solely depending on their parents. But old people have that realization, and that makes them like more like what think about their past, present. Sometimes that make old people into more grumpy. Okay, so here Mahmoud is also going through that vulnerability phase, and he's feeling like lonely. He's like understanding that now he and his like occupation are no longer important. And then the symbols and metaphors. So the banyan tree that I already mentioned, and banyan tree represents old age, then or the old man's life and wisdom. Mimosa tree represents what youth and vitality. The kites symbolize tradition, creativity, and passion for knowledge. So now let's look into the character analysis. Mahmud, a representation of traditional craft and the impact of time, and Ali is the embodiment of new generation and their potential futures. And so the relationship between the grandfather and the grandson highlights familial bonds amidst like change. And so what happens towards the end of the story is that uh, Ali, okay, what- when Ali comes back to his grandfather, he see a white butterfly fluttering or sitting on his grandfather, that Mahmud's beard. And when Ali called his grandfather, Mahmoud is not responding. So and Ali is getting panicked, and he's calling his grandfather repeatedly, and he's not responding. And when Ali goes to call some other people to check him, what happens is that the butterfly flutters from Mahmoud's beard to the mimosa tree, and like so that like and that story ends there. So it actually like shows um sorry so that ends there, and it also shows Ali's kite ascends into the sky. So the story ends with two mm, what, ends with like two symbolism. One is that the white butterfly, which was sitting on Mahmoud's beard, fluttered away and fluttered to the mimosa tree. And the second one is that Ali's kite it ascends to the sky. So this actually portrays the continuity of life and the transmission of tradition from one generation to the next. So uh, so this shows like the essence of change and the bittersweet nature of nostalgia actually, and it serves as like a reminder to the transient nature of life and importance of cherishing tradition, and even as the world evolves around us. Okay, and the conclusion can be this is a like interplay of a tradition and change, reflecting the themes of generational bond and inevitable like passage of time in Indian society, the decline of traditional arts, etc. So this is all about Ruskin Bond's Kite Maker. So how can you connect this Kite Maker to any other novel that you discussed till now? Can you connect this to any other novels? So many mentioned that okay, these are like non-detailed works, so this won't come to exam. It doesn't happen actually, because non-detailed works are also asked as questions in the exam. And also what you can do is that whenever you're writing your answer, when you're crafting your answer, you can include the ideas from other novels or other ones which you read already to substantiate your answer. So if you're talking about Sea of Poppies or Shame, but if there is an instance which is similar to that in any other non-detailed work, you can quote from that novel or that short story, and then expand. That gives a very good like impression that okay, you have the ability to connect things, you have the ability to like develop an idea, or and as well as like you read all of this. Okay, so do you find any connection between any of these novels? Any comment? Hello, am I the only person present here? Someone gave thumbs up. So you all are there, but you won't respond. Okay. So let's then jump into the next short story, Promotion by Arjun Dangle. This is what, this is based on like Dalit literature. It shows like caste identity. So Arjun Dangle's short story Promotion explores or focuses on the complexities of caste identity challenges faced by the Dalit community, and broader implications of social inequalities in modern India. So, how many of you watched the movie Mamannan, a Tamil movie Mamannan? Or anyone watched that movie? Could you please tell me what it is actually? Mamannan.
It's about casteism in politics.
Yes, casteism in politics. And any particular idea strike? Like the character of Vadivelu? He's
Yeah.
from the lower caste.
It was awesome performance by Vadivel. Yeah.
Yeah. So Vadivelu was from a lower caste and he became the leader. But after becoming the leader, was he like able to like perform as a leader? Something restricted him, right? His caste identity restricted him. Even though he was the like main leader, the other people, the higher caste people, they like subjugated him. So when he goes to Fahad Fasil's house, he was not supposed to sit. That political leader, he was not supposed to sit in the house of a higher caste man. So that's exactly seen in this short story. I mean, the essence of that movie is seen in this short story by Arjun Dange. So that's why I just mentioned about Mamannan. So the overview of promotion, the protagonist Vakmare, an assistant purchase officer, he struggles with his caste identity. So his recent promotion, it juxtaposes his aspiration against persistent prejudice he faces from upper caste colleagues. So Vakmare's internal conflict showcases the broader societal issues faced by Dalits. His efforts to assimilate into upper caste norms highlight the impact of caste on personal identity and social interactions. So, what actually happens in this novel short story is that this Vakmare, he was an educated Dalit, and now he is promoted to the position of assistant purchase officer in Indian Railways. And like how he got that is because okay, sorry. So he was so eager to embrace his new status, and he moves to his railway officer's railway quarters and begins a new life, like traveling in first class. Then he started to like adapt into that higher class level of life. But despite his efforts to assimilate, his like he faces like a lot of discrimination from his colleagues, particularly from his subordinate, Mr. Godbole. Because whenever he give instructions to Godbole won't Godbole refused to cooperate. So and what have Mr. Vakmare? He's confused. He don't know what to do. He's a superior here, but the person who is in like the person who belongs to the higher caste society is not ready to accept his like orders or accept like his authority. And then people in that like office, they started to like mock at him, that they gave him the surname reserved. So this reserved, the word reserved actually suggests reservation. So he got promoted because of his reservation, his Dalit reservation. And The others, they are getting jealous of that. They are saying, okay, he got into there only because of that reservation. They are not understanding his effort. They are not understanding how much struggle he put into to reach that level from an oppressed society. Sorry, from an oppressed class. So people are just mocking at him, and people are not ready. People means his colleagues are mocking at him, and they are not ready to obey him. So that was the issue he faced. And what he did is that when he became the officer, he started to act like a higher caste person. That means he started to isolate his family members or other Dalits. So it actually, through that, Arjun actually tries to show the attitude of some people, some Dalit people who, like some bourgeoisie Dalit people. That's what he used, the bourgeoisie Dalit people. Because whenever they reaches a position, they have this tendency to refuse their identity, to deny their identity, to not to support their group of the group members or their caste members. And here, this Vakmare, he was not ready to. Uh, he was like not ready to accept his family members. He even didn't cooperate in Dr. B.R. Ambedkar's program. No, means the B.R. Ambedkar's program conducted by the his community people. So, and even he gave money to the lady who was going to a temple, to a higher caste temple, so that he will be with them. So that he can like develop a high class society life. And then when he goes back to his home, he saw his son, like, oh, and his son was crying. And then his son like said that his friend, his that son his friend, I think Pramod, mm, I- his son's friend's name I forgot. Okay, so his son, what he did is that he drank water from his friend's water bottle. So his friend belongs to a higher caste, and that friend's grandmother like punished Vakmare's son. Okay, so this was a realization to Vakmare that whatever he does, whatever position he got, still people are not ready to accept him as himself. Still the weight of his community, or the weight of this untouchability, the lower caste status is on him. And that could be an eye opener for him to be supportive to his group members or the community members. So the social dynamics and the discrimination. Vakmare's colleague refused to accept his authority, emphasizing caste-based hierarchies in the workplace. So the narrative reveals how upper caste individuals, even when working with Dalits, often maintain discriminatory attitude. So this discrimination. Okay, now there are many people who still have that mentality, even when like Dalit or people of the lower strata of the society, they reaches to a higher position, the others are not ready to accept them, the upper caste people or the other people with privilege. They are not ready to accept them. They have this discriminatory attitude towards that people. Then comes the cultural and familial ties. So Vakmare's relationship with his family reflects his internalized caste prejudices. He distances himself from his less fortunate relatives, showcasing a conflict between his upbringing and current social status. So the role of Dalit movement, why the role the Dalit movement is shown there? Because the story indirectly refers to Dalit movement spearheaded by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. So it actually critiques the bourgeoisie Dalits who forget their root and fail to confront social injustice. So when so we know the hi- higher caste people, they discriminate these Dalits. Also, these people, these what bourgeoisie Dalits, they just remain silent towards the social injustice. So they are actually the people who should support these Dalits to like what, uplift them or to like enhance their life. But sometimes they are not failing in that, or they forget their roots easily, so that they could be adapted to the new high class society. So the concluding thought on this is that Dangle's story serves as a poignant like commentary on caste identities and moral dilemmas faced by the individual Dalit individuals, and the narrative challenges readers to reflect on their perceptions of power, privilege, and identity within the caste society. Sorry, within the caste system. So the themes in this short story are identity crisis, then caste discrimination, assimilation and authenticity, then so so that's about promotion by Arjun Dangle. So what's your say on this Dalit literature or the attitude of bourgeoisie Dalits? Do you think reservation is unnecessary? Do you think reservation is unnecessary?
I don't think so. It's necessary.
Okay. What about others? So, is it necessary? Who all believe in like reservation, or who all like think that reservation is necessary? No answer. So, what do you think about this short story?
No, actually, ma'am, in our society, even now the caste system is prevailing. So,
Yeah.
on the basis of that, the reservation is important, according to my view, because lower caste people, they don't have the chance to means some in some places they are not being able to reach there.
Yes.
So so the
But
reservation in
one
not
second.
in a exaggerated sense, but still in some places it is needed for the upliftment of the lower caste.
Okay. So, someone else was about to say something. Who was that? Mr. Someone else was about to say something. Okay, any other opinion? From any other opinion? Anyone?
When I listened to you, I could recall the novel of Kumar Limbale's Akkarmashi, in which the caste system of India, Northern India, is discussed, the kind of struggle the people of lower caste have to live their daily life. So reservation is very essential because in our country, caste system is still prevailing, and lower caste people are struggling, lost much to live. Uh,
Yes. So that you mentioned about Sharan Kumar Limbale's Akarmashi or Outcast. Is it? Any other suggestion, idea? Or we don't have, let's jump into next one. So this is our last short story, a temporary matter. Okay. So this talks about load shedding or power outages. So this is a short story written by Jhumpa Lahiri, and it focusing on the theme of grief, communication, and the dynamics of strained marriage following the loss of a child. So, anyone, can you give me a summary of this? Those who read this short story, A Temporary Matter. Those who read this short story, could you please raise your hand? No one? Okay. So, this short story or this narrative revolves around an Indo-American couple, Sukumar and Shobha, and set against the backdrop of grief after losing their child. It explores the idea of scheduled power outages creating intimacy. So, in this short story, the plot it is set in suburban neighborhood of near Boston, and the story unfolds like over a 5 consecutive evening, and during which the couple's electricity is scheduled to be cut off for 1 hour each night for some kind of repair. Okay, so at from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. they are having load shedding, or what it is called, power outage. So this temporary disruption forces Shobha and Sukumar to share candlelit dinners. Okay, so Shobha and Sukumar, they are married couples. They were very happy couples before, but Shobha lost her child during delivery, and then that actually led them to have a strained marital relationship. So now, at present, Shobha and Sukumar, they won't talk each other. They even eat in 2 separate rooms. That's how that family works. But during this load shedding, what happened is that Shobha and Sukumar started to share their food. No, like started to eat together, and there is no like power, so it is boredom. Boredom is there. So they what happened? They started to talk. We know in our place also, when there is load shedding, all the families members will like what, come together, and we start to talk. We may sing, we may share some stories, we may share some ghost stories. So that will be like a family time, right? So this actually happened there. So that was a starting. So they were not talking to each other for a long time, but because of the load shedding, they started to talk again. And during these dinners, what happened is that Shobha proposed a game where they each share a secret they have never revealed before. And initially, the secrets are trivial, but as the nights progress, they become more profound, unveiling layers of deception and unmet expectations in their marriage. So it is dark. They don't have to see each other's face. So it is more easy to confess something or to say some darker secrets without seeing the other person's face. So and now what happened is that this exchange creates a semblance of like renewed intimacy, allowing them to communicate more openly than they have in months. And so on the final night, that means on the fifth day, Shobha discloses that she has found an apartment and intends to move out, revealing that her participation, that why she is in this game, is because she was actually preparing Sukumar for this revelation. But on the other hand, Sukumar actually thought that his wife, like he's like thought that they are becoming closer and closer through this game. That this was a shock to him that she is moving out. And because like Sukumar got like devastated by this news, and then he became like very angry, and he gave his secret. So now they have to share each other's secret, right? So he, out of anger, he said he found the gender of their stillborn son, child. Okay, I revealed it, son. So now, till then, Shobha was not aware of the gender of the child. She only know that she had a child and that child died after childbirth. But before like burying that child, Sukumar went there. He took that child in his hand, and he know the gender of that child, and he thought of not revealing that to Shobha. But now at this point, since Shobha is going away from him, he decided to reveal that secret, and he said that that was a baby boy. So this information actually, or this secret actually shattered Shobha. So now both of them, they are in dark, like they are what, like in profound sorrow, and like this actually shattered the any illusion of reconciliation. So there is no possibility for both of them to reconcile now. Now they are in dark as they turn off the lights, sitting together in darkness. So now they are sitting together in darkness, in pain, and the story ends. So this shows that the themes explored in this novel, short story, is that communication and silence, then grief and like loss. Communication and silence means a couple's ability to or inability to communicate. So what's the point of being a couple and not communicate? Silence should be should be broken, right? And grief and loss is shown here. Fragility of relationships is shown there, and the couple grapples with the emotional aftermath of their child's death. The grief leads to communication breakdown, emotional distance. So whenever communication stops, distance, emotional distance appears. And the story reflects on the challenges of navigating loss in marriage and the role of communication. So the role of communication is central to relationships dynamics. Whatever the relationship is it a father-child relationship, mother-child relationship, husband-wife, siblings, friends? Communication is the key. And power outages serve as a metaphorical space for revealing hidden emotion. Intimate conversations during darkness that illustrate the need for connection. So now let's look into the symbolism. The darkness symbolizes the couple's emotional state. and their shared estrangements. The food acts as a cultural and emotional connector. So food is connecting them together. They are like sitting together to have food, and during that period they are talking. So candles represent intimacy, the rekindling of their relationship. So the climatic revelations, the revelation which we can see towards the climax. So the significant secrets they shared that led to the like emotional catharsis for both of them. So Shobha's decision to lease an apartment reveals her intentions that she don't want to continue her life with Sukumar now. And Sukumar's confession of holding their child offers a moment of shared grief. Also, she like Shobha was like even more in grief now. So conclusion: the resolution of a like a temporary matter brings to light the essential role of communication plays in relationship. So Jumba Lakhri's story serves as a poignant reminder of navigating through grief with vulnerable honesty. So, what do you think about this short story? So, this is the last one. I hope you will give me some feedback on this. This is like a more of a emotional experience of two people. So, what do you think? Just practice talking. Just talk in the class. Just give your inputs. Even though if you think it's like trivial, that actually give you the chance to talk. Also, in literature, we know there is no right answer. Okay. It is all our perspective. We can imagine anything. We can interpret anything in our own way to whatever extent we want. So, any idea? Any suggestion? Nothing? Please, please give your comments on this.
This short story have highly relevance in this modern era where people are busy and they are not giving time to each other to communicate things. As you said earlier, of course, communication is essential in all relationships. So this story will remind us to give time to our partner to communicate about anything and everything happens in our life. Kind of frustration that we have, uh, you know, if one is housewife and the other one is working, then she has to communicate her things to her husband, and she wanna hear, listen to her husband too, what kind of things that he's going through in daily life. So communication is essential to understand each other. Yeah. So this story has relevance in this era. That's what I want to tell.
Good, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone? Okay, so no more comments on this. So do you have any
Ma'am,
doubt? Okay.
one
Yeah.
doubt about an
Yes.
assignment question, ma'am. In this material, explain diaspora literature by relating it to the Indian context. What does this mean, ma'am?
So diaspora literature means Indian people, the people like even for example, an Indian who is not in India, who is settled in some other places, but who is constantly reminded of that what the roots and writing. So which so that reflects in their writing. So Jhumpa Lahiri is a diasporic writer.
Yes,
She's
yes. Okay.
settled in. Okay, you understood.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I
So,
understood. Okay.
so they're reliving in their past or reliving in their roots. That's
Okay. 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 Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Anyone else?